welcome to Mindset Mentoring for Athletes, Families, and Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Coach Chuck, and this week we'll be talking about entrepreneurship and mindset, so stay tuned for that. In the fiercely competitive world of youth sports, every athlete is looking for an edge, but it's not just about physical skills. The mental and emotional obstacles facing our young athletes today are more challenging than ever. As a parent, you see the pressures they're under, the struggle to balance sports, school, and life, the anxiety of moving to the next level, whether it's varsity, college, or beyond. You want to help them succeed, but you're not sure how. The answer is to spend time training their mindset, introducing Empower and Excel, cultivating a champion's mindset, a training program that will guide your athlete through the mental, emotional hurdles of their sport. As a coach and an expert in behavioral modeling, I've been working with student athletes and empowering them to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset for the last 30 years. Empower and Excel isn't just another training session. It's a deep dive into the mind of a champion. We'll tackle the tough stuff, clearing negative beliefs and resolving emotional conflicts, and building the mental resilience they need to thrive. But the journey doesn't end with this one-day workshop. Our 10-week Become Your Own Life Coach Challenge will instill crucial habits for managing emotions and beliefs. This will set up athletes for success in every aspect of their lives. And the best part, by joining forces with other families, you can save up to 80% on this life-changing experience. This workshop is for groups of 20 to 60 athletes with parents encouraged to attend at no additional charge. Take advantage of this opportunity to give your athlete the competitive edge they need, both on and off the field. Register for Empower and Excel today and watch them soar to new heights. And welcome back. This week, I am delighted to welcome Don Pikula, a distinguished author and serial entrepreneur, mentor, devoted husband and father. Don has dedicated his life to empowering business owners, corporate leaders, and speakers, helping them create unmatched online experiences that captivate and engage clients, prospects, and team members alike. Don's journey is one of relentless dedication and insight. Having trained with the renowned Joel Bauer, he has honed his skills to master the art of engagement and conversion. His methods are not just about making sales, they're about creating lasting connections that transform the way businesses interact with their audiences. Today, he's going to talk about how a resilient, proactive mindset has been crucial in building his career and how it can transform yours as well. So let's welcome Don Pikula to the show. Welcome, Don. I am honored to have you. You've been kind of a mentor of mine, and actually as what everybody sees before them is a product of the work that you've done for me. So it's much appreciated. So thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, Chuck, great to see you, man. And that was quite the intro. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You just try to keep it simple over here, but I love the way your show looks, and I love the message you're bringing out to not only entrepreneurs but athletes and young and old alike. Man, I love what you're doing and support you any way I can.
Well, thank you very much. And what I want to start with before we get kind of down a little bit is some of my audience, is families, but that's parents and teenagers. And so I often like having people try to think back to those early years and how their mindset may have helped pave the way or even shaped their current situation in life. So as you think back to those teen years, I mean, you've been involved in business and said you're a serial entrepreneur. So there's a definite mindset that entrepreneurs bring to the table. Was that something that was always there going back to like your teenage years, or was that something that kind of developed over time? You want to kind of share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So when I grew up, I had the benefit of seeing multiple options in terms of generating money and supporting your family. Both of my grandfathers were entrepreneurs. They were small business owners. One was in heating and cooling and plumbing. The other actually started from scratch and ran an election company that's still going today, where they do elections for unions and anyone who needs to have a critical vote counted. But then my dad went through corporate America, through a couple large corporations. So I got to see entrepreneurship, I got to see corporate, and I got to see that really either way will get you to where you want to go financially, emotionally, so long as you apply certain principles in either course. Now, for me, if you told me that I'd be building studios for people 10 years ago, I would have told you were crazy. But listen, a lot of crazy things has happened over the last decade. A lot of crazy things can happen over the next decade. So part of it's also being open to the possibility. But it really for me starts from solving a problem first. And so once I saw a problem that I had and that I solved, I found a way to turn it into a company because there were some other people doing it, but not for a very specific part of the market, which was online presenters, speakers, mentors, coaches, and closers, who, thanks to the last few years, have an incredible opportunity to actually own their own media company, get their message out, look like a pro, all without having to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars building a real studio.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's that's kind of how you kind of led right into to some of my other questions coming up. So that was a nice lead in, because entrepreneurs, there's a lot of stressors. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that mindset has to play into that. And then there's the business side of things, the strategies that got to be incorporated in. And you work with all kinds of different businesses and showing them how to kind of reach new audiences, how to present themselves online in different ways. And you see the market in a different light, I think, partly because of the different businesses that you deal with and all that. What I really think my audience would be interested in knowing is as you see that market, what do you think your clients, what's that shift? What is it that they need to do to be able to stay ahead of the curve, especially with the way technology changes and everything else changes so fast? What is that mindset that helps them to be able to stay on top of it and to try to adapt and move quickly and all of that? Do you have some insights into that we'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's really two sides of a coin there. Side number one is you have to be willing to work on yourself. Work on yourself. I don't care whether you're employed, whether you get a salary, you're hourly, you're commissioned, or you've taken the leap and you own your own business, you've bought a business, or you start businesses. You have to work on yourself, and you got to prioritize that. I see so many people who don't work on themselves because they say, well, I don't have the money or I'm too busy. But yet when I look at the ultra rich and the wealthy and those who we would normally, deem as successful, they prioritize their health. And yeah, you can say, well, it's easy for them. They already have the success and the money, but they all say, I wish I would have done this. Maybe not this degree, maybe not this expense, but I wish I would prioritize myself, because now I wouldn't be having to rebuild my life and put it back together. I would have brought my life along with me on the journey. So there is a level of sacrifice, and there is a level of personal and physical and mental sacrifice. But you got to be able to work on yourself first. And where that also starts is investing in yourself. And again, easy for a commission salesperson to say, easy for someone who owns a business to say, well, hey, you got to have, there's business expenses related. Kind of hard for the person on a salary that doesn't really have an upward bonus potential. But, one thing I remember a lot was Jim Rohn. He did a seminar where he was talking about people in a salary. And they're like, well, my company just doesn't pay anymore. And he said, well, of course they pay more. That's just, they don't pay you anymore. So when I look at what you want to do to get to the financial goals, get to the career goals, first you got to set those goals. And two, you got to be willing to invest the time, the energy, and yes, even the financial resources that you may or may not be able to spare at the moment to get to that level. Now, at the same time, when I'm saying that, when you think about a business or think about your market or think about your client, you got to put yourself aside. You got to actually turn yourself off and think from the market. Because I'll tell you, your clients, your prospects, people who may invest in your products, service, and solutions, they don't care about you at the first point of contact. They care about the challenge they have. They care about the problem they have. They care about the mistakes they may be making and the solutions they're currently not finding. So I always want to think about it, not from what would I like to have happen or what do I think works or why is my product a certain way or a certain shape or a certain spec. I want to think about the market. So I want to say two sides of that coin. One, invest in yourself and become the type of person that can physically, mentally, emotionally handle the challenges, the stress, while staying engaged and staying physically active and staying sharp. Well, then turning that part off when you think about a business or a product or service so that you don't think from your perspective, you think from your potential client's perspective.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's taking care of yourself. You can't be at your best. You can't perform well. And, when your livelihood, your job, you need to be able to perform. And if you are in the emotion of stress, if you're getting sucked into the stress that comes with being an entrepreneur or a business owner, you can't serve your clients well. And ultimately, as you said, is kind of that other side of that coin, right? That mindset of service. And that's a subtle but important difference. And I've had conversation with people from broad political spectrums and all. And one of the things I've said that what some people mischaracterize capitalism as, and it is all about service. You can't survive as a business if you are not serving people well. They're going to spend money with your products or services if you are giving value and if you're truly serving them. And part of that is, you've got all the marketing and all that, but it's your mindset, right? So bringing that up was wonderful. And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners don't really understand the work it takes inside themselves to be able to deal with all those changes. So kind of along with that too, you've talked about, and I've heard you mention a number of times how you've kind of gotten to the position where you are and you saw the need and all that. But you did also mention a mentor that you've had. And, I call myself, I'm the Champions Mindset Mentor. So mentorship's important. And I've heard you mention the name, and I've mentioned the introduction, Joel Bauer. Have there been other mentors, and do you consider yourself a mentor as well to all these clients that you're pulling in? You want to kind of talk about that concept of mentorship and what that really means to you?
Yeah, well, when I was coming up in probably second grade, they started talking about college. And I think by third grade or fourth grade, definitely by fifth grade, we all believed that if we didn't go to college, we were going to be failures at life. Yeah. And back then, you could probably work your way through school. You could almost, go in a one-bedroom apartment or find a couple of roommates and, study and work and within 4 years have a degree and not have the debt. But by the time I got to college, that wasn't possible. And today, by the way, sidebar, if you're wondering where the entry-level workforce is for your business, they're out of a 4 or 5 year resort with money that they're never going to be able to pay back, because this isn't like $8,000 a year now. This is like $80,000 a year now. And the whole reason I'm getting into this, though, Chuck, I'm telling you, is that a lot of us are conditioned to go and spend and invest in our education. Problem is, at a certain point, we all shut that off. And the education that we were promised or that we got or that even that we paid for big dollars, very few people actually go and implement and use, or even, I will dare say, needed in their profession. Now, a lot of people you hear talk about this and they'll say, well, I don't want a heart surgeon that learned on YouTube. And, my engineer who's building the building should probably make sure that they know college level course. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. But why do we stop investing in ourselves and expect our companies to pay for it or not do it at all? or not even at least pick up the stuff that's available to us at little to no expense on YouTube or in a book. I say all this to say that I invest more in myself now on call it a 2-year basis or 3-year basis than my college education cost me. See, I didn't stop investing in myself. I just changed what I learned. And I stopped learning from people who weren't doing what it is I wanted to do. I started finding people who were doing what I wanted to do, still doing it, willing to teach it. And that doesn't come cheap, but it does come with the results. So long as you implement, vet, find the right people, make sure there's guarantees, you're not at risk, and you see proof of what they do as a result. So when it comes to mentorship here, I tell you what, why is it that professional athletes, and you work with a lot of them, why is it that they'll spend so much time with the coaches, so much time in practice, so much time behind the scenes, that when it comes time to actually make the play, they're ready. They just go into reflex mode. They don't have to think about it. But yet professionals tend to learn on the fly. And they don't have the coaching. And almost more importantly, what a mentor will encourage you to do is to reflect on what you've done. See, there's a lot of people out there that want to pay a mentor, buy a program, and have it do the work for them. See, but a real mentor, and Chuck, and I know you believe in this a lot, is a real mentor would love, and I love when the clients and the companies and even the students of mine take action. And then I get to come and improve upon that action with the principles and the next level. It's really tough when they come in as a blank sheet of paper and not willing to take any risk or put themselves out there. We can be really helpful as coaches and mentors when we're going through what happened, what we can learn from that, and what we can improve from that, because then we can take them so much further to where they actually surpass us. They get better at the thing that they paid us to learn than we are. And they become the master. They become a peer.
Yeah, there was a lot in there that we could go in several different directions. The whole education aspect and the fact that it really doesn't stop with that degree that you have, like high school diploma, college diploma, master's degree, whatever. It's constantly changing, and we're in that knowledge industry, and knowledge is it's coming at us incredibly fast rate. So you've talked about investing in yourself and keep looking in that. How do you manage that time in that, like, the technology realm? And I know what you've just taught me with what I use here for studio and all. I don't even begin to know how many hours you put in learning all that. Right. And then there's going to be, there'll be upgrades. There'll be a new technology. There'll be something else that you bring to your clients. So how do you manage that aspect of staying on top of the game and being able to keep providing that value to your clients without getting that overwhelm that so many people do with how much knowledge there is out there?
Right. Well, there's a reason that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos talk about how much they read and how much they consume in terms of learning and growth material, because it is always changing. In fact, the only thing I can promise you is that it's not going to stay the same. There will be change. There will be something bigger, better, faster, easier to operate. And it's tough to be on the bleeding edge of technology and the bleeding edge of change, because then you're out there with all the mistakes. But you also don't want to be like the one dragged behind and feeling like it's replacing you or that it's somehow taking away from you. I want to find myself kind of not necessarily an early adopter, but someone who's watching, learning, aware, studying, open to. And the only way you can do that, the only way that happens, is if you intentionally dedicate the time to it. See, we all dedicate our time in the office. Some people dedicate our time for us. They tell us, be here at this time and work till that time and take this break in the middle. Other times we prioritize that next sales call. We prioritize that meeting. We'll take a meeting in the evening, the morning, on a weekend. We'll prioritize all that, but then we won't prioritize time to learn, grow, and expand. But there's, when I study some of the people that I've paid and some of the people that pay me, because mentorship's really a two-way street sometimes. And sometimes where you become the mentor as well. Highly successful people have control of their schedule to a much higher degree than unsuccessful people. And I'm not belittling anybody or breaking anybody down here. I'm just saying that like highly successful people, whether they're employed, whether they own a company, whatever, they will be able to control and in some ways even bend time further and more towards their advantage than the average person. So I'm not really a believer in everyone has 24 hours a day, because I'll tell you, if you're applying some of what's out there now in terms of AI or like what I teach in video, Chuck, what we talked about today is that if I didn't make another video or write another email and someone signed up for information from my company or a newsletter or gave us their contact info, there's enough video happening automatically where they're going to have 9 months of twice a week videos designed to help them if I never make it and lift another finger for it. And that work didn't just happen, right? I mean, I built it along the way over the last 9 months. I'm going to continue over the next 9 months. But if I don't schedule the time to say, nope, this is when I'm doing this, and I don't hold myself accountable, and then keep those micro promises to myself and to my company and to what who will be, some will be my clients in the future, and to my family, well, then I'm just going along to get along, man. I'm just waking up and seeing what happens. I'm just reacting. And when I find myself, and a lot of people find themselves in a state of reaction, then the frustration, the bitterness, the disappointment, all of those feelings start to enter your life when you feel out of control. And there's a lot you can't control that'll happen to you. But sometimes those things that are happening to you on the negative side is really just to give you the tools and the incentive and the discipline to not give up and cut yourself off from your promises earlier, but actually to commit to those promises, not because they're easy to do, but because they just got a whole lot more difficult. So I think if people can at least etch out, make a micro promise to yourself that tomorrow or today, you're going to do something at a certain time. You set the reminder and you set the time, you own the time, and you do it. And I don't care if it's just 15 minutes. Let's say you want to wake up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow and stand up and stretch, or wake up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow and walk around the block, or wake up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow and read a couple pages of a book. Well, let's see how you do tomorrow when that alarm clock goes off. Most people aren't going to get up and do it. And that's why most people are going to massively struggle for most, if not all, of their life. And I hate to simplify it too much, but that's the basic principle. Can you keep promises to yourself? And if you can, now you can keep promises to others. You can keep promises to a company. You can keep promises to a marketplace, and you'll be rewarded for that discipline, even though it may be hard in the beginning.
Yeah. Again, there's a couple things there I want to kind of add on to and unpack a little bit, because that talk you had, when you're talking about time, and that's one of the first things when I'm working with my clients is we begin to get them to try to take responsibility for their time. And we lie to ourselves a lot when I say, oh, I don't have enough time. No, you got the same amount as I do. It's just you might not want to prioritize it that way. So you've got to ask yourself why or why not. Why am I prioritizing my time on this and not this? And you own that. You got to own that. We got to put people in that place where they begin to take ownership of their time. And it's also where some of that overwhelm and some of those negative emotions come in, right? When people begin to look at everything on their plate rather than trying to break it down to some simple actions. But that was also one of the other things you said, is about those simple actions, right? You gotta do this. I'm gonna set the alarm and gotta do that. And it's hard. This is why, New Year's resolutions never, most people set New Year's resolutions and never follow through. Right. And there's, things like accountability partners and all those things that play in. And entrepreneurs need, and there are a lot of people who kind of have that romantic image of an entrepreneur, and especially in the coaching industry, they have certain skill sets that they know, oh, I could really help somebody else. I could really help. And they want to jump into this. And this was me not not too too long ago, and you don't begin to realize all those other things that you need to begin able to do, and the overwhelm can begin to come in as you begin to learn, and those negative self-talk and all that can begin to factor in. So I want to kind of come back to what you do too, because like in my journey and process, the whole marketing and branding, and I've learned so much about all that. But you're into the, one of the big things you do a lot more, but it's this video aspect of getting people in front of the camera, being able to get your message out that way. Can you talk about the importance of that and how that can really help an entrepreneur? And really, no matter everything I'm learning is it really doesn't matter your industry. You can really utilize the power of video pretty easily, inexpensively to get your message out. You want to kind of talk about that whole thing?
Yeah, well, you brought up the time factor. And, we don't all have the same amount of time per day. There are people out there who have way more than 24 hours in a day. They have sometimes hundreds of hours a day, thousands of hours in a day, millions of hours in a day with the application of leverage. They've either hired it done, right? You can leverage time, or they've done work that is working for them over and over and over. So, the number for a lot of coaches kind of need to wrap their mind around is it's about 5 to 7 hours if you're going to have someone join your program that they need to spend with you before you've established the authenticity, the authority, the trust that you're the right person, that you do what you're going to say. But 7 hours before you get paid, that means you're going to struggle to get clients on board. Unless there's a way they can watch, if there's a way they can engage, there's a way they can learn, and develop with you without having to take your one-on-one time. And so the leverage that can be applied through video is no different than the leverage that you would spend to hire someone to do something for you, other than it's not as expensive. You're right. You can do it relatively cheaply, and you can expand as you go. You don't need to buy a $100,000 studio before just to make a few videos. But here's what's crazy. Coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, especially the beginning, we can all get sometimes a little delusional on what we should be doing. We may have run into a spot where we're having a bit of a slump and we're not really converting or getting any new clients, or and we don't have the established revenue up yet, by the way. And so what we'll go do is we'll go make a new program, or we'll go make a new landing page, or we'll go make a new website, or we'll go make a new module or fix. But yet we don't spend the effort and the time on the outreach to the market. So there is no more effective way to market anything on this planet than video. And what was the song that came out? The first one they played on MTV, was it "Video Killed the Radio Star"? I think that's what it, but when the television came out, it was a very select group of companies that owned the media and that could pay to broadcast their message. And they had a lot, I don't know whether it was deserved or undeserved or manipulation or not. I'm not getting any of that. I'm just saying that it wasn't until maybe a few years ago that the power of media-like presentation, media-like video got into the palm of our hands with the cell phone. And so today, after a pandemic that wiped out a lot of great progress and put a lot of people in pain, and we lost some great people and some loved ones. On the other side, now we have an opportunity that we can reach more people today with our cell phone or a laptop or with an internet connection than those entire media companies could reach back when they were starting. So it's really leveled the playing field. And in some ways tipped it into our favor for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and yes, even corporations. But see, the corporations have always had the big ad budgets, and they've always ran the Super Bowl ads, and they've always been on TV. But as viewers and eyeballs come off of televisions and go on to other platforms, we have an opportunity to meet them there, sometimes as the first point of contact, immediately establishing ourselves with credibility and authority. and build trust to solve their problem. And if we come at it from that standpoint first, the conversions will happen automatically.
Yeah, the other thing that modern technology has been able to have us do, and the power of video too, it's um, fine tuning that message for the specific people that need our product or service. It's being able to find those people a lot easier than in the old days. And some of the things that you teach and do on how to apply that is wonderful. And it's the other thing. I talk a lot about mindset, but part of this too is for the people coming into this, the entrepreneur and all, is it's that open-minded mindset, that curiosity, that asking the right questions, and trying to, in my journey, I have met several people who've all had different bits of knowledge that I've been able to access and utilize, and that availability and being able to find and access them is incredibly powerful. But I had to be open to it too. My mindset had to be in a place where I was ready to hear the messages and hear all those different things. So, boy, I could go.
Let me add to that is that you had to go through what you went through to get to where you are now. See, but most people aren't going to go through that discomfort because, Chuck, maybe you're like me. Listen, there were times in this journey, more recently than I care to admit, that people would have considered me a failure. And I've thought about it. There were times in this journey where I thought about quitting, where I said, no, you know what? I'm done. I can't take anymore. But it's in those moments when we keep going, when we don't give up, when we don't quit, that really develop it's developing our pain tolerance, but it's also taking us and transforming us into the type of person that will find a way, that we've changed through that process. And so we can help other people. And it's almost that you have to, like, I hate to say this, because it's almost like you have to earn it. And I'm not trying to wear it like a badge of honor. I'm just saying that, like, if right now you're in your business, especially if it's a small business or an entrepreneur or coaching business mentor, if you're struggling right now to get through the month, I want you to understand that that's a stage, that's a phase, and I'll bet there's a lot of people that don't get out of that phase. But if people who look at it as a phase, say, okay, that's my survival phase. That's my survival phase. So what am I going to do? What am I going to hold myself accountable to? What are the actions I'm going to take on an everyday, week, and month to get myself out of the phase of barely being able to pay the bills or having to pick what utilities to keep on, or, whatever the case may be for them right now? You got to get out of that phase. But part of being in that pain means I ain't never going back to that phase ever again. So, but here's what it ultimately comes down to: doing the small actions. This world is set up to make you worry, to make you think, to distract you, to leave you in a state of mental paralysis where you're not going to take action and do the simple things. Because when you hear it, it sounds too easy. Chuck, I make a video once a week. That sounds pretty easy, but people don't do it. Or they'll do it for 2 weeks or do it for 3 weeks. And you brought up the New Year's resolution. It's not that we don't know what to do. We just don't know how to commit ourselves to actually execute and do it. And part of that is giving ourselves, I won't say a pass, but part of us is giving ourselves permission to suck at something before we can become good at it. Sometimes we think, I'm not very good at this, or this isn't. Well, guess what? Most people weren't very good at what they do until they did it and got good at it. And they just didn't quit when things didn't go perfect for them or didn't go right. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should. Let me be really clear here. Let me be really, really clear here. I do not recommend most people become entrepreneurs. Yeah. And I'm saying that because you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be successful. there's something about that title you mentioned, though, Chuck, like, entrepreneur. It's kind of got this like badge. No, it is a painful path for a very long time. fact, I heard somewhere that entrepreneurs are very underpaid for a very long period of time. And then for a very short period of time, they're properly paid or compensated. And then hopefully for a long time after that, they're overpaid and compensated. But that all has to do with you finding the right message to market match, finding the right entry point, building the right systems, processes, and committing to the small things that will bring the results, that will then bring the value, that will then bring more people to you when you're ready. And I don't mean when you feel like you're ready. I mean like when you're actually the kind of person that can deliver on what it is that you promise.
Yeah, actually, thank you for mentioning that point about, the show is athletes, families, and entrepreneurs. And part of the reason entrepreneurs is there is a small percentage of people who will be successful entrepreneurs. It's a unique mindset that needs to come in to do that. Very few people really truly have it. Those who think they do, there's some things that they need to be prepared for. But there are a whole lot of people who they need to serve their boss, the company they work for, and that company's clients, and they need to learn how to do that well, and the mindset that goes into that, which is a slightly different mindset. But everybody needs to begin to find their path and their avenue, whether it's an entrepreneurship, or your athlete, your family, your job, whatever it is, and learn to be able to deal with whatever life comes in, so that you can live the life to the best of your ability and find that joy and fulfillment in that path. And there's a whole lot to that, but yeah, that I could, we do a whole bunch of shows on all those things.
Right.
I am kind of running out of time here. Is there one last bit of wisdom that you would like to share with people who are, adults who are running their own business or have thought about running their own business, and anything from your expertise and your experiences on tips or wisdom that you'd like to share? One last moment.
Well, it's the same thing I've built my business around. Is make sure that you are comfortable, functional, and look as good as you can online, as good as you can on Zoom meetings, team meetings, on social media, YouTube. There's almost no one on the planet anymore who can solely live just off of the referrals or just off the in-person. This is too widely of a platform, too widely of a space to market, to promote, to grow, scale your business. It needs to be something that you take seriously. You don't need to go spend thousands upon thousands. I'm just saying, do what you can to put an environment and a spot where you can be functional. I've seen too many CEOs at corporate, too many presidents and directors, and even highly influential people at companies ruin their reputation by jumping on a Zoom meeting and either losing their cool, losing the fact that people are looking at them to make sure if they're okay, the company's okay, and even just not etiquette's the wrong word, but just knowing how to navigate and be comfortable online. If you can get that part done, you're going to be well on your way to using the newfound tools, the new opportunities, and still be a pro in person as well.
All right, and I'm going to put up your website up here, so that goldengooseservices.com. If somebody wants to get in touch or learn more about what you do, they can go to goldengooseservices.com, right? And find out how to contact you there. Do you have any other website or anything else?
Yeah,
other way?
I'll tell you what, if they go to goldengoosestudios.com, then I'm going to bring in a gift for them where I'm going to show them exactly how, in 11 minutes or less, how to shift their way that they present online. If they will just go goldengoosestudios.com and they put their name and email in here, this is an 11-minute transformating training. I'm not charging anything for it, but this will go through the camera, the microphone, the lighting, the 3 biggest things that will have an impact of the way you look online. And it's totally on me. Chuck, for your audience, I think they'd benefit huge from just spending the 11 minutes watching this short training and really leveling up the way that they appear to a vast audience that they may or may not be already serving.
Awesome. So that is goldengoosestudios.com.
Yep.
And I will make sure that we get a link into that as well. And so there was Golden Goose Services, but this is Golden Goose Studio Services.
Golden Goose Services is still my website. So I bought this seminar company.
Yeah.
Put all the pieces together, made it all happen, and picked the name. I didn't realize the name at the time was also used by Converse for one of their shoes. It's one of those like $500 pair of shoes that looks like it was run through the mud. But so the Golden Goose Services, that was the initial company, but Studios was when I decided to embrace the online and helping others embrace it because they were asking me to. So I guess my last thought is, if you're wondering, trying to sell what you want to sell, but other people are interested in something else and you can fulfill that, do it. Do it. Fulfill the need of the market and build a business around it. Even if it's something you love to do, but you're good at it and you're capable of it and you can do it and you can provide value doing it. Some people sometimes get so stuck on what they love and that it's hard to articulate and hard to build a business and a message to the market because they're almost too close to it. So look at yourself a little bit, look at your business, step back. Third party, look at it from third position and see, okay, is there a close niche, a close solution, a missing link, something I can fulfill that has value for people who are willing to pay me, and you can add it to your business, turn your business on a dime to it, or really expand and grow from it exponentially when you have the right match.
Yeah, there's that idea of multiple streams of income and knowledge. Tony Robbins he preaches this all the time, right? It doesn't matter whether you might have an existing business or something. There is knowledge that you have about that you can then sell and market, additional stream of income. So thank you again for joining us. And I am sure that you out there, the audience out there, got a lot out of that. There's a whole lot about what's going on technologically in the world and being able to get your message out there, whether it is as a business, but even nonprofit organizations as well can benefit from learning some of these techniques and using the power of video and other sources. And of course, as always, I talk about mindset. So whether you're a family with teenagers, an entrepreneur, you got your own things going on, mindset's going to play an enormous role in your ability to navigate the storms of life. And the storms of life, as we know very well, come up. And our mindset's going to help us navigate through that, come out the other side better able to deal with everything healthily. And that mindset is trainable and it's learnable, but you've got to pay attention to it. So I love having conversations with people about this. And if you have certain goals, sometimes you might feel stuck in first gear, right? Reach out to me at coachchuck360.com. That's coachchuck360.com. Schedule a discovery call where we can have a conversation about what your goals are, what the challenges are you're seeing in your life, your team's life, your life as a business person. And we'll have a conversation about what I offer, how we might be able to help, whether it is a match. And if it isn't, it isn't. So be it. That's part of why we need to have that conversation. So once again, just reach out to me at coachchuck360.com, schedule a discovery call, and let's discover if I can help you and how we can get you on that right path. Until next week, have a wonderful week.